Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be stamping, coloring, and using my ScanNCut on some cute coffee images. Before we get started though, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and make sure that you also hit the bell so you'll get a reminder every time I upload a new video. First I'm taking the Jillibean Soup coffee and donut stamp set, and I'm going to start off by just stamping out that little coffee cup in some Tuxedo black ink. Then I'll take some of my Spectrum Noir markers and color those in. I'm going to be using some darker colors along the edges of the cup and lighter across the center to give it a little bit more dimension. Now that I'm done with the coffee cups, I'm doing the same process with the donuts. I love this little donut image, so I'm stamping out a bunch of those in Tuxedo black ink from Memento, and then I'm using some brown Spectrum Noir markers to color in the donut part of the donuts. One of the cool things with this stamp set is there's also a stamp to color in all of the frosting on all of those donuts. So I'm using that. It also includes a ring for the donut shape, so I'm just taking a microfiber cloth and just wiping that off of that part so it doesn't commingle, I guess, with the black ink. It probably doesn't really matter depending on what color I'm using. So I'm just going to line that up with the center area using my Fiskars stamp block. And perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the color part on all of the different donuts in different colors from Catherine Pooler inks. I love these pastel colors. I've never really used a lot of pastels, but I have to say that these are some of my favorite inks. Those donuts look so nice with the frosting, but what is a donut without some drizzle or sprinkles? So I'm going to go ahead and use some unicorn white ink from from Hero Arts and add some white drizzle to one of the donuts. And what I noticed is that it kind of was being absorbed by the Catherine Pooler ink, so I have a feeling that it needed to have the Catherine Pooler dry a bit more before trying this. But I tried doing 2 layers, and then I decided to go on to a different donut. For the next one, I'm going to just try adding some chocolate. So I'm using some Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo, and going ahead and adding that to one of my donuts. And I absolutely love that chocolate drizzle. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and try adding the chocolate again to that first green donut, and to offset it slightly so it would have a little bit of dimension along with the white. I mean, might as well use the white that's there, right? And after that, I just went back and started adding sprinkles and drizzles to all of the other donuts. Those donuts are starting to make me hungry. Next, what I'm going to do is I decided to use my ScanNCut to cut out each of those donuts. I mean, they are pretty simple images, but I thought I'd go ahead and share with you how I would use this to do fussy cutting, so you don't have to do fuzzy cutting, especially when you've got a ton of images. The machine is pretty easy to use. I just told it I wanted to do a direct cut and scanned my images in. I've already got them placed down on my mat, and then it's going to scan it in. It's asking me to frame the image so we can know where to look, and then it's going to select the images that we're going to be cutting. At this point, I want to apologize and hope that I'm not making you guys seasick, because I have another tripod somewhere, and of course I couldn't find it when I was wanting to set it up for this. At this point, I'm going to add an outline around it. I'm going to give it just a slight offset so it doesn't cut exactly on the line, and it's most likely going to cut close enough where I can work with it. I do need at this point to go back and do a calibration on there so that the so that the line's cut in the correct spot. I've done it since then and it works so much better. I'm so excited. So here I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. And oh no, oops, I realized that I had not stuck my images down on the mat well enough. So stop the machine and reposition that cardstock on there. I'm actually going to go ahead and use some washi tape and my brayer to get it to stick to the mat well. I mean, my mat does have some pretty good stick, but it doesn't. It depends on the image and depends on how much I press on there to get this to stick on there well enough, and I just did not do a good enough job the first time around on this one. So now we're going to start over. I'm going to hit that back arrow a few times to get back to the start. Go back to direct cut, cutting from the machine, and scan it on in. And now we're just repeating the process. I'm going to go ahead and frame the image so it knows where to look to select the images. And this time you notice that there are some extra stars from the washi tape that I used. So I've got to go into edit and I have to delete each of those. It's real easy to do. Just hit that arrow until it gets to one of the things you want to delete, and then hit the trash can to dump it in there. And then just repeat the process until you get rid of all of the excess that you don't want to cut. And then next I'm going to go ahead and add that slight offset. Then select cut and start. And here is where the magic happens. I am so fortunate to have this SDX 125. It has an auto cut blade. Some of the older machines you had to adjust the blade constantly, and I did have one of those and had a hard time getting all of that done. Just never worked right. This one is much quieter, and the blade, I don't have to adjust it at all. It just knows how deep to go. So I went ahead and took the mat off and brought that over to my desk to remove the paper and everything under a better camera. This is not shaking around. And so I took off that extra piece, and now I'm just removing those donuts. And you'll notice that they cut out great. The offset is a little bit lopsided, but that's fine. I went ahead and added some glossy accents over to the top because, of course, the frosting should be shiny. So when I'm done putting the glossy accents on, I'm just going to set those donuts off to the side so that they can dry, and then I'll be using those on some coffee lover cards in the next few days. I'll be sharing those videos soon, so be sure to check back. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful crafty day. Bye-bye.